Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. I am Del Barzi. As always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe, leave us a comment. We'd love to know what you think. Today, my guest is Mignon Thomas. Ms. Thomas is a nurse. She's a professionally trained life coach. She's a mental health advocate. She's an entrepreneur. Welcome, Mignon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, no problem.
So, my first question to nurses is always why? Why are you a nurse?
I wanted to do something that I was going to feel good about it at the end of the day, be a benefit to my community.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you weren't a nurse, what would you have been?
Then I wanted to be an attorney.
Okay. In both cases, a benefit to your community.
Right.
Awesome. So tell me about this nursing thing. Where have you worked? What kind of areas have you worked?
Okay, so I started out early in geriatrics.
Okay.
And I did that in like the LTAC assisted living type environment. And I loved it, loved the patients, but it was a little bit slow for me. So I left and I did dialysis and I loved it. I loved the patients. I loved the experience, the excitement, the hustle and bustle, everything about it. It is not boring at all. So, and the patients become family because you see the same ones as I worked in the patient setting, the clinic. I love that. I transitioned from that because I am not a morning person and you would have to get up at like 3 in the morning to start dialyzing promptly. So I had a baby at that time and that wasn't, didn't fit into my lifestyle. So then I transitioned to hospital and I did hospital, PRN, and home health. And to my surprise, I acquired most of my skills in nursing in home health because there was no one coming to help me. I had to figure it out. And so it was a great pair that I did my time at the hospital at the same time that I was doing home health because I was had advantage by being exposed to the new things that are coming out, particularly in wound care, because I've seen a lot of those patients.
Yeah.
I did that for a couple of years. And then I finally just said, okay, I think the baby started going to daycare because I didn't want my baby to go to daycare. So enrolled in daycare and the oldest one in school. And I said, okay, I can take something full time with benefits. And then I stumbled into the mental health field. And I was not really excited about that. I was a little apprehensive, a little scared because of the stories that you hear about them following you home from work and all that stuff like that. So I had to pray about that really hard. And I was like, oh, people do this for years and they stay. So I did it and I'm glad I did because I excelled really quickly. I caught on really quickly. The patients loved me. I loved them. I noticed that I worked as a community nurse, so I would go in the field and see them in the clinic. But the way they were utilizing us nurses is to pick up on things that were going on to kind of determine if, like a compass, is this medical or is this psychiatric?
Okay.
So that was very rewarding. And then education, of course. And I got to do a whole lot of different trainings. I got a lot of experience and I just kind of noticed that it came easy. Whereas some of my coworkers, they struggled with it a little bit, but it was easy for me. And I don't know that's because I was kind of always exposed to it or what. And I kind of just stuck there. And I had applied previously to work for the VA and they called me while I was there. And of course I went with them, and that's where I've been for like the past 6 years until recently when I resigned to work in my business full time.
What would you like to see change about nursing, if anything?
I would like to see the nurses valued more, being that we are the backbone. We don't get the respect that we need, and I don't even necessarily, and I'm sure other nurses can identify, say we don't need the pat on the back. We just need for you to understand that how much we put into the care that we provide for our patients, keeping the doors open, because we have to be the nurse, we have to be the doctor, we have to be the advocate, we have to be the pharmacist. We wear so many hats. So I would like to see that recognized and appreciated, as well as giving us the support. Because a lot of times I would find myself being expected to carry out X, Y, and Z with no support. For example, I showed up to work one day and like all the doctors had quit. And had connections to a sister facility, but they expected the patients, we could not cancel the patients. I don't understand it. The patients had to be seen. And the other physicians knew that they were supposed to cover, but we were the ones that actually had to reach out and facilitate this whole process. And that was a headache. But people don't see that part. And I'm like, they don't talk about that nowhere in nursing school.
They don't talk about a lot in nursing school.
So the recognition, I guess, and the support that we really and truly need, so many areas, so many.
Do you think, I believe, and I don't know if you'd agree with me, but I feel like you talked about something about not talking about it in nursing school. I think we are not really prepared for what it's going to be like actually working, and not really prepared to stand up for ourselves and to recognize our own worth and to insist that we are recognized and valued the way we need. And I think that it has to come from us.
Yes. I know there are a couple of nurses that have coaching programs now that you enroll and they help you get your nursing career started. Whereas like when we were out there, we were just bumping our heads. And if you were not a person that would be like, no, I'm not gonna do that, or that's not right. If you're not gonna speak up for yourself, you could easily find yourself in an instance that will lead you to the courtroom, lose your job, or all kind of sorts of things. And nursing school in particular does not prepare you for that at all.
No, it does not. Unfortunately, maybe we will get there. Maybe that will somehow after all of this get included. Maybe we will recognize, especially everyone's talking about how nurses are burnt out. Maybe we will get there where it can be recognized that we need to be prepared for all the stuff that comes with it. It's not just about taking care of other people. That involves a lot of self-sacrifice. It involves a lot of innovation. It involves a lot of, confidence and and scared and all the other things that go with it. So, yeah. And so, what led you into being a coach?
I actually realized with the help of my doctors that my job was stressing me out. Like it was my main stressor. So I said, okay, I'm comfortable in my position, but what would make it okay? And I said, well, if I could do this from home, then I would be okay. So I looked into, I applied for a couple of coaching positions, and I would get to the interviews. They were selecting me. And we didn't have to have the coaching certificate, but I wanted to know more about the actual coaching role instead of nursing, because that was one of the questions that they would ask me. So I enrolled into a coaching program. And when I did that, they told me that by the end of the course that I would be set up to do this for myself or use it, in my corporate career. And I was like, I don't want to do this, because I had done various other entrepreneurial journeys, and it was just, that was not what I was looking for. Nothing stressful. I don't do nothing extra. But about a month into it, because the way they had it constructed was brilliant, it was similar to what we're used to. We would have the book knowledge in the modules, and then we would actually be responsible for linking up with other coaches and doing what they call, I can't remember what they called them, but basically it was coaching clinicals.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, you actually had to do it. I got to talk to people from all over the world, and you realize that it wasn't just me. It's going, and it wasn't just, nurses in particular. And I seen, like, and most of the people I talked to, they were doing this to do it for themselves.
Okay.
And or either they had already been doing it and they wanted the certification. So it was very rewarding. And they were like, it's so good to talk to you. And early on, the lady told me that, oh, you'll do well. Nurses do very good at this. And, it's already ingrained in us. So about like a month into it, I was like, wow, I wish I would have had this years ago. I'm like, I could have used it in my teen years. I could have used it again in the early adult years, all those little difficult times.
Transitional periods.
Yes, make those decisions and stuff. And I remember just being kind of stuck and like, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this will be cool. And everybody kept giving me raving reviews. And I was like, they're just saying this to get through it. But then I was like, okay, this is easy. And some of the folks would be struggling. I said, well, maybe you are pretty good at this. And then finally the light bulb came on, and I realized I've been coaching people all my life. I'd always been the one that people seek out for a solution. And they may not necessarily want the consulting. They didn't necessarily want me to tell them what to do, but they needed me to do the hand holding. And then one thing people would say is like, I remember people saying, I'm not going to coach you through this. I'm not going to hold your hand through it. And I would find myself doing that a lot. So I said, okay, maybe I can do this.
And you describe yourself as a mindset coach.
Yes.
How difficult is it to get people to shift their mindset?
It is very difficult. It requires a lot of what we call thought work, a lot of journaling, a lot of searching, a lot of meditation, and a lot of honesty. And tapping into places that we necessarily probably are not, some people are not ready to go to. Because if we think about it, we start forming this mindset when we were kids.
Yeah.
And now we're adults. So to actually get them to acknowledge it and then go back and figure out, when did this start? And then start to work on it and understand that it's not going to happen overnight. But it's very rewarding to see, like I call my sessions, aha sessions. It's very rewarding to see that those aha moments. And then when clients reach out and they send me direct message like, oh my God, because we might have a whole hour session and nothing happens. And typically that's how it is.
Yeah.
Nothing happens, just like the doctor. You think about all the stuff after that. And but then when they actually go and implement the things that I told them about, and that could be simply just meditating on some of the things we discussed, and they reach back out and wow. And it could be the next day, the next week. But when that clicks, that's the rewarding part in me, to see those light bulbs come on. And then they take off until the next
What makes someone ready though? Because I suspect that a lot of people who actually come to you or start this are not really ready. So what makes someone ready to do this and willing to go through this work?
When they are tired. Like old people say, when you're ready, when you've had enough, especially when people dealing with relationships, that's the one we can identify with.
Yeah.
When you've met your level. But we all have like a window of tolerance. And when you are outside of that window, sometimes we're too far out to address the mindset, and we just need this fix now because I'm in crisis mode. This has to stop. You're not ready yet. You're aware that you need to do this, but you're not ready. But then we have those that are, you're just outside of a little bit to where it's uncomfortable and you know I gotta do something about this. Okay, I'm finally ready. I'm sick of this. I'm ready to move forward. That's when you're ready. When your comfort level, you're uncomfortable enough for you to note that it's time to act, but not too uncomfortable to where you can't function.
Yeah.
That's when you're ready to come to the table and talk to me.
Yeah. And I see that your particular target audience is the Black female entrepreneur, a career professional.
Mm-hmm.
Why that audience?
Because we are the lowest of the low, and we are the hardest on oneself, and we are brilliant, beautiful, man, possible. This world would not be an ounce of what it is without us. We don't realize our full potential, and we live in a world where people and society is constantly telling us that we can't, that we're not, how unworthy that we are. And I know personally from just my young age growing up in the South, and my parents doing the best that they could, that I grew up with that limiting mindset beliefs. And that was really hard for me to reprogram. So I see the things that I went through with having nervous breakdowns as early as 14, and then again in my early 20s, and then again just recently. And, you know, it was all related to, I'm very open about my diagnosis with major depression and anxiety. Mm. But if the anxiety would have been treated earlier on and those stressors, like all of the limiting mindset belief removed, I most likely would not have the diagnosis of major depression today. And so I know what it feels like to want to do something and not know how, reach out and ask people, nobody's willing to help. And then so when you finally get that window of opportunity, you're scared to move forward. So I really can identify with them because I've been there, even when everything's laid out in front of you, you know, but you're afraid to press the gas because of what everybody has told you, that you're not worthy, that you can't do this, you're stupid. Even if you have a doctoral degree, but you can't run a business.
Yeah. I get that. I really do get that. And so it's I guess it's comforting to know that there is a person providing a niche that's just for you. You know, providing a space that's just for you. So yeah, I get that. And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, what do you think is a person's biggest obstacle to progress? But I think you just answered it.
Yes.
Just answers to their progress.
Yes.
And so I heard you speak a little while ago about this thing. You talk about being pleasantly uncomfortable. That almost sounds like an oxymoron. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that. How you came up with that particularly? You know,
pleasantly uncomfortable is like my signature course, where it is very intense, very hands-on, where I guide you through that mindset shift. And I had retired it for over a year, and I'm just getting ready to bring it back in June. But what it is talking about is the necessary uncomfortableness that comes with growth, with moving forward in life. And a lot of times that's what keeps us from going to that next level. I think of like that, you know, the image where you are right there and the diamonds are on the other side, but I'm tired. Nothing is going right. It's just so intense. And then so you're very uncomfortable and you fall back and you go back to what is normal, and you were right there. And so that course focuses on, well, it's a program now. That program focuses on identifying what that is in every individual. Teaching, in the beautiful thing about it is it teaches you how to identify that. So you can be aware of it and apply this formula to every area in your life. And then you can go and teach and help somebody else. That's the beautiful thing about it, is when I see my clients come back and tell me that they were able to help somebody because of pleasantly uncomfortable, and point out to them that the necessary things in life are going to be uncomfortable, but they're pleasantly uncomfortable because it's needed to go to that next level.
Yeah. As you were talking about, and you talked about the diamonds, right, just being on the other side, I could think of a couple of, in a way we know this. Mm-hmm. In a way we know this, intrinsically we know this. The thing that came to my mind as you spoke, we say things like it's darkest before the dawn. And, you know, right when just before you succeed is when you're most ready to quit, and all of those kinds of things. And yet we don't seem to recognize, we know it, but we don't recognize it when we're there, that this is where we are.
Absolutely. And that's what I zone in on, is to teach you how to identify that that's where you're at, and how to set yourself up with a plan to push forward. And not beat yourself up when you do fall back, because like I love the brain, and the brain is freaking out at that point because it's like, hey, and it wants you to revert back to what is normal, what is comfortable. It's doing its job, but you need to challenge it and make it grow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As you're talking about it, I had an experience that came to mind. So that's I gave myself, actually. And it was, for me, a life-changing experience. On my 58th birthday, I went skydiving for the first time. And it kind of was something I wanted to do, because I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. But the thing is that the moment for me, the biggest moment for me, was sitting on the edge of the plane at the door, ready to jump. And, you know, I'm 14,000 feet above the ground, and there is no turning back. I'm there, gotta jump.
Right.
And a lot of life is like that. Especially if you are intending to progress, if you're intending to move from one comfort zone to the other, if you're intending to move from one level to the other, you get to the point where either you're going to jump, and if you don't jump now, you're never going to do this. You know, and at that point, you thought you were going to do it all the time. You have to make that huge decision. Yeah, now is the time. I gotta jump. That's huge. So Mignon, couple of things. You've done so much in the nursing profession, in the nursing field. If you had to give advice to someone who wants to be a nurse, what would it be?
I would tell them to do some real soul searching and really make sure that this is what you want to do, and that you're not just doing it because people say there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
Because
there is now.
Because even though those people that are making like $100 an hour that you see, they're not doing it for the $100 an hour. They're not doing it for that. They deserve much, much more than that. People really can't. We put a value on it, but they're risking their life. They're sacrificing time with their family, things like that. Never know if they're when or if they're going to be able to see their family again, to care for your loved one. And I can't thank them enough for doing that. But really make sure that this is what you want to do, and find out why. Why do I want to do this?
Yeah, and that comes right back to my original question. It's always why. Why do you want to do it? What do you say? What does self-care mean to you?
Self-care means taking care of me, taking care of my needs and my wants.
Yeah. I say that self-care should be a daily ritual. When I ask people what self-care means, very often I get answers of, the spa or the timeout or the, and those are important because, it's like everything else, you have to put aside time for that. But also, I think it should be a daily thing, a daily,
Absolutely.
whatever it looks like for you, whether it's just 5 minutes to yourself, whether it's prayer, whether it's you know, your shower that nobody disturbs, or you know, nobody knocks on the door, or whatever it is. And it focuses just on you.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Yes, I practice that daily, and as a requirement that I have for my clients that work with me, because we're required to do so much. And most of the people that are attracted to me, you know, they are givers, they are healers, they are everybody's backbone. So we have to take care of us first so we can take care of anybody else.
Yeah. And I think that's a little bit hard for us because you use that word givers, you know, by nature, you know, we're givers. And sometimes it's hard. A lot of people feel guilty, feel selfish, feel all those kinds of things about putting themselves first sometimes. And there's nothing to be guilty about taking care of yourself. There's nothing selfish about it.
Right.
So if you had to, I'm collecting these words, Mignon. If you had to describe the most essential quality of a nurse in one word, what would that word be?
Caring.
Caring. Okay, that's another word that comes up quite a bit. I just wonder how we see ourselves. What do we see in each other that makes us, you know, all come together to do this and to stand together? And what do we see as what do we recognize in each other? For you, it's the caring thing. Some people have recognized the, you know, the resilience and the empathy and all of those kinds of things that come. And all of that comes under caring, actually.
Right.
All of that comes under caring. It's a huge thing. So Mignon, I would love to thank you so much for doing this. It's been awesome to talk to you. For those who don't know, I watch you I saw you on social media. I see you on Facebook doing your live a little while ago. It's awesome. It's really, I found it really powerful. So thank you very much for that and for talking to me. You have a truly blessed day.